Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ron DeSantis would work as a good president. I mean, what he's done for Florida has been admirable.
Look at, I feel like I'm doing breaking news right now.
Yeah.
That wasn't even on purpose.
I feel like what he did for Florida, a lot of people gave him a lot of grief, but ultimately he was correct. He was correct when it comes to like deaths.
What he's focusing on is early treatment, getting you the monoclonals. And I went nuts.
He was correct when it comes to protecting all vulnerable populations. He was correct in terms of distribution of monoclonal antibodies.
People are going to try to control the truth, and there will be a ministry of truth, and people will decide for you what's true and what's not. That is exactly what he does. He's taken $3 million and he's put it towards a program at University of Florida with our taxpayer money, by the way. That's where that $3 million came from. Put it towards the University of Florida under the stipulation that they do a program where they whitewash history. Whitewash is the perfect name for this too. They don't want to talk about slavery in college. That's literally what that program is doing. We could go through the whole article and I could explain it to you, you know? But this is the kind of thing that you guys should really be concerned about, because this is the guy that's probably going to be running for president of the United States. And you should know what he's about. You know, I'm one of the only people that the balls to tell you what it's really about. You're not going to find another podcaster outing Ron DeSantis like I do. Try to find one. Let me know where the freaking upload is. It's like everybody's all hush-hush about it. You know, all of my favorite podcasters, none of them talk about Ron DeSantis. In fact, some of my favorites praise him. How's that? How's that for a slap in the face? Joe Rogan praises him. You know, Tim Pool loves him. You know, Jimmy Dore basically gives him carte blanche. He says, you know, Florida's doing so good, which it's not, by the way. Florida's doing so great, and it's all because of that man.
It's what the Democrats do. It's blue states that are pushing these mask mandates and these vaccine mandates. It is Democrats that are screaming about Omicron and saying things are getting worse. And it's typically Republicans saying no to the mandates, backing away from this stuff, and saying more so individual liberty.
We were just in Florida. They have no restrictions. They've opened back up. They've decided to live. I saw Bill Maher talk about this. He's been touring the country as we have doing stand-up. And whenever you go to a red state, it's no restrictions, no nothing. Everyone's living their life. You go to a blue state, it's a big pain in your ass. So if you get vaccinated, do it for yourself, because it doesn't help anyone else. So California touted its vaccine efforts as a way to stop COVID, until pivoting toward heavy mandates midway through 2021 when the spread didn't let up. Concurrently, Florida embraced having the least amount of restrictions in the U.S. and is now boasting better COVID data than California. You can't vaccinate your way. Then we have Dr. Robert Malone on our show, who explained you actually can't vaccinate your way out of a pandemic like this. And look at the countries, Singapore, all of them that are super vaccinated. Israel, they're having huge outbreaks of COVID. So once I figured that out, I changed my tune about a lot of things, one of them being mandates. In fact, I don't know if it's still the case, but when we did the story a couple of days ago, maybe last week, Florida had one of the lowest COVID rates in the nation. According to two states' COVID data, as of November 6th, California's mean 7-day frequency of COVID cases, 6,288, has exceeded Florida's count by nearly 4 times their average, 1,473. California is beginning to see a resurgence in cases now that the vaccine approaches a time frame in which a dip in efficacy is event proven to start 6 months after inoculation with Pfizer or Moderna's shot, and 2 months after Johnson & Johnson. So the vaccine efficacy wanes. And it certainly wanes. It doesn't prevent you to transmit or get it, but it wanes even in protecting you. Per reporting on the vaccine's efficacy from Outkick's Meg Turner, Moderna's 2-dose COVID-19 vaccine, measured as 89% effective in March, was only 58% effective by the end of September. Meanwhile, the effectiveness of Pfizer's 2 doses fell from 87% to 45% in the same time. Now, when they say effective, when I used to read that, I used to think, oh, it's 89% effective. I thought it meant 89% effective in keeping you from getting it. But what this really means is 89% effective in keeping you out of the hospital. Isn't that what that means? That's what we looked up today?
Reduces, yes.
Yeah, so it's 89% effective in keeping you out of the hospital or serious COVID. Now it's only 58%. Okay, still better than nothing. Pfizer's 2-dose vaccine fell from 87% to 45%. So there you go. As for the Johnson & Johnson single jab dosage, efficacy plunged from 86% to just 13% over those 6 months. That's the jab Ron got. So, again, what I'm saying is, and I'll say it again, and people will misquote me, and people will maybe not even play this part when they do a hit piece on me, but you cannot vaccinate your way out of this. That's why you see the counties and countries with the highest vaccination rates have also high transmission rates. Let's talk about Florida real fast, because this is a fascinating story. So, how did Florida end up with one of the best COVID-19 case death rates in the United States, despite Governor Ron DeSantis is refusing to implement masks or a vaccine mandate? So they have one of the best COVID-19 case and death rates right now, and they're not doing any shit. During the peak of the recent COVID-19 surge in Florida, the state was recording 101 cases per 100,000 people and a 1.77 new deaths per 100,000 people. Since mid-September, Florida has been seeing declines in its recording 9 cases. So down from 101 to 9 cases per 100,000 and less than 0.2 deaths per 100,000 COVID cases. So if you had gotten COVID before, 1.7 of those people were going to die. Now, 0.2. That's a big drop. The declines are despite Governor Ron DeSantis insisting the state would not shut down and refusing to implement mask or vaccine mandates and instead focusing efforts on early treatment. Just 2 months ago, Florida was experiencing the worst COVID-19 surge in the United States. The Sunshine State had the highest 7-day average of cases per day, as well as the highest hospitalization rate in the country. Now, with Halloween and Thanksgiving, the COVID crisis looks really different in Florida. Inexplicably, cases and deaths have been going down despite DeSantis implementing no new mitigation measures. What? Data from Centers for the Disease Control, the CDC, show Florida is recording one of the best case and death rates in the country. Additionally, the state is doing just as well as California, despite the West Coast state taking a very strict approach, including implementing mask mandates, limiting gatherings, and closing bars and indoor dining at restaurants. After one of the worst rates in August, CDC data show Florida is recording 64 cases per 100,000 people in a week, or 9 cases per 100,000 people per day as of Wednesday. This means the Sunshine State has the best case rate in the country behind California, Mississippi, Hawaii, Alabama, respectively. So 3 out of those 4 states are southern, out of those 5 states are southern states that have the lowest rates: Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. At the time, doctors and public health experts said that DeSantis' laissez-faire approach was a gamble, but it appears to have paid off. These metrics are despite DeSantis refusing to allow business and schools from implementing mask and vaccine mandates. That's monoclonals. You ever hear of it before, Joe Rogan? DeSantis, faced with COVID surge, urges Floridians to use Regeneron antibody treatment given to Trump. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is vowing to begin dispensing Regeneron monoclonal antibodies. The treatment given...
And like, I'm not a fan of DeSantis. I mean, I'm repelled by him trying to reverse allowing felons to vote, him trying to make it harder for people in general to vote, him, supporting the far right Cuban mafia there in such a degree, and banning, trying to ban Ben and Jerry's because they signed on to the BDS movement in support of Palestinian human rights. I mean, I'm opposed to DeSantis on almost every other issue, but on this one, we just have. You're going to see Regeneron become very popular, and people are taking it not as flamboyantly as they are in Florida, where DeSantis has made it kind of, he's flying the Regeneron flag, but people are taking it across the country. It's not just some kind of like right-wing MAGA thing.
Right. I know.
And what? Good.
$3 million for University of Florida civics program
Hollandaise.
fuels Governor
They
Santis'
did a great
agenda.
circle around my food before they ate it.
Do you want to know,
KD3.
summed up in a nutshell?
Going to elementary school to play with my daughter. #Frisbee time.
It's what they warned you about when you were reading stuff like 1984 from George Orwell. They said people are going to try to
Amazing.
control, right?
Look at
Right,
that
Doc?
smug bastard.
And now someone will clip this like they did last time to make it look like somehow I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis. And which I expect people to do. What I don't expect is for grown-ups to fall for it. Like my fucking ex-friends. Jesus
What do you want,
Christ.
Marjorie Taylor Greene to be president of the world?
If you're out there responding to a video that was clipped of me to make it look like I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis, you're a fucking dumb chump. And one guy did that, and he came out and he was tweeting about it, and then he protected all his tweets. Why? Because he's a chicken shit coward. One guy who used to be a friend of mine believed that clipped video, started tweeting about it, got his ass ratioed by a regular person, Russ Lewis, and then hid all his tweets because he's such a fucking cunt.
Wait, for everyone or just you?
Everyone.
What did I do? Why don't I get to see his
Because he
tweets?
doesn't want people to see that he got ratioed and that he's a fucking moron. That he's just as big an idiot as any Hillary voter. And it was pretty sweet. By the way, I got the screenshots of it. Somebody sent me the screenshot, so now I have them.
I like what Ron DeSantis has done, to a certain degree. People have criticized him for his stance on BDS. When the CDC says COVID is surging everywhere. This is CDC data that I'm showing here on the screen. You can see that almost entirely across the country, except for Northern California, red. They're saying the transmission level is very high. So let me ask you, AOC, at a time when Florida sees a near 1,000% increase in cases, what about that was appropriate? What about that made it appropriate for you to not wear a mask? Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think mask mandates, for the most part, are insane. Masks, however, do work. Masks, however, do work. Masks, however, do work. Masks, however, do work.
Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill is one step closer to becoming law today. The controversial legislation says that schools cannot encourage classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity. It set off a wave of debate over the rights of LGBTQ students and parental rights. Cristian Bienvenidas from our NBC station in Miami joins us now with this. Cristian, when I was thinking about this, how is this different in terms of critics' eyes from, for example, talking about the women's rights movement when gender was a, central piece of that history lesson there?
Hi, Morgan. Well, to be clear, this parental rights and education bill is all part of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis pushing forth Republican priorities during this legislative session that appeal to the base of the Republican Party. What he calls anti-woke legislation. As far as this bill, Governor DeSantis has sidestepped the question for some time since this bill caused a nationwide firestorm. But this week here in Miami, he gave his clearest indication yet that he supports this bill, although he hasn't explicitly said that he would sign it.
We've seen instances of students being told by different folks in school, oh, don't worry, don't pick your gender yet, do all this other stuff. They won't tell the parents about these discussions that are happening. That is entirely inappropriate. To get into situations where you're not having the parent, you're hiding things from the parent, you're injecting these concepts about choosing your gender, that is just inappropriate for our schools.
And reaction here in Florida has been fierce. LGBTQ plus groups have organized, and during the committee hearing this week, over 100 people showed up to that hearing earlier in the week, and some 24 people provided testimony overwhelmingly opposing the bill, with 1 or 2 exceptions. But reaction is not just here in Florida, it's also coming from the White House. Take a listen.
I'm begging you today, do not pass this bill, because like so many LGBTQ kids, I don't know where I would be without the support of teachers like Ernie, Eileen, and George. There's an epidemic of LGBTQ kids hurting themselves here. Don't take away their reason not to.
Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay bill is one step closer to becoming law today. This as it makes its way to Governor Ron DeSantis' desk.
And now someone will clip this like they did last time to make it look like somehow I'm telling people to vote for DeSantis. And which I expect people to do. What I don't expect is for grown-ups to fall for it.
See, at a time when Florida sees a near 1,000% increase in cases,